and thank you for joining me for today's live reading of Cabin 8, the Millersville series number 3 by Susan Specht Oram, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. No open flames. I strike a match in a motel room in the mountains and wrinkle my nose at the smell of sulfur. Lighting a candle on the windowsill, I glance at a notice posted in the back of the door listing a bunch of rules. No open flames. Quiet time is 10 p.m. until 8 a.m. Wash the dishes before you leave or you'll be charged for each dirty pan. I shrug. I won't start a fire or make noise. I'm a house cleaner by profession and I'll tidy up after myself. Coming here was my mother's idea. She owns the company I work for, Diggs House Cleaning. Signs on our car say, "We dig you. We'll leave your place spotless." Last week, my mom said, "Miranda, you need to get out of the city. Take 2 days off with pay and write about what's bothering you. Burn the pages in the motel room. The ritual will help you forget what you saw." It's been months since I've gone out of town, so I accepted her offer and gave her a hug. Now, at the Old Westby Motel where I'm staying on the second floor, someone slams a car door. A woman about my age, in her mid-20s, glances up and stops, studying my face. Her gaze makes me feel exposed, so I pull the curtains together, closer to the candle. I open a diary to where I bared my soul about an incident that took place when I was 12 years old. It happened years ago, but it's fresh in my mind. I tug on a hank of my long hair. I should have saved her. Grasping 3 pages in the diary, I rip them out and hold them to the candle's flickering flame. I nod as the paper ignites. I'll have a fresh start after this. My mother was right. Fire dances down the paper, singeing my fingers. I drop what's left of the pages and yelp, jumping back. The fabric curtains smolder and catch fire with a crackle. I rip the curtains off the rod and stomp on the fabric. The flames burn my ankles and tennis shoes, giving off a melting plastic smell. I run to the bathtub, turn on the water, and wet a towel. Racing back to the curtains, I throw a wet towel over the fire to drown my mistake. By then, it's too late. A decorative cluster of pine cones I'd carried in after a hike burst into flames. Fire licks the wood-paneled walls. Smoke fills the room. The smoke alarm beeps and shrieks, giving me a splitting headache. I pull out my phone with trembling hands and dial 911 to report the fire. Then I grab my purse and throw open the door to warn others. Fed with oxygen, the fire roars with intensity and follows me. I pound with my fists on the motel's second-story doors. "Fire! Get out! Run for your lives!" I fly down the stairs and scream, knocking on doors until my knuckles are raw. Going room to room, I hammer on doors and yell for people to exit. Sirens wail in the distance, coming closer. A fire truck chugs like a heavy beast down the dirt lane with a blaring siren. The police arrive in a squad car, lights flashing. My clothes are wet with sweat. I'm panting and out of breath. Clutching my churning stomach, I bend over and hang my head in shame. Firefighters jump off the rig, unreal hoses, and spray water on the fire. Dirty smoke billows into the dark night sky, obscuring stars. Inhaling smoke, I break into a coughing fit. Cold night air seeps into my skin and I rub my arms. Firefighters battle the blaze with hoses and axes. I clear my throat. How will I ever make this right? A police officer approaches me. "I'm arresting you," she says, "for reckless burning. Come with me." My teeth chatter as I walk to the squad car. There's no denying I did this. I've made the biggest mistake of my life. Chapter 1. 4 months later, I'm sentenced in Okanagan County Superior Court for setting the fire. In court, I pled guilty to reckless burning in the second degree, a gross misdemeanor, and I agreed to pay restitution of $100,000. The judge ordered me to make payments based on my income, so I'll pay $150 per month. I was also fined $3,000, which my mother paid. I'm not a freeloader. I just haven't saved money yet or found anything I want to do for work, which is how I ended up as a house cleaner employed by my mother. When I stop by her brick rambler to see her, she says, "You look all worn out with bags under your eyes. You spent 4 nights in jail and you owe gobs of restitution money. Take a break for 3 days. I'll give you time off with pay. Hopefully after that, you won't leave the vacuum at a client's house or forget to empty their trash. I sigh and take a strand of hair, twirling it around my index finger. She slaps my hand. And stop pulling your hair out by the roots. I sit on my hands and groan, but she's right. I need to stop torturing myself for what I've done. In jail, I plucked out a chunk of hair, leaving a bald spot on my scalp. I guess it was a way of punishing myself. My mom says, that reporter keeps calling, and I'm tired of her pestering us. While you're away, I'll tell her you're out of town and unavailable. I frowned. I don't want to talk to her. And why is her name Ned? I haven't figured that out. My mom shrugs. Maybe her birth name is Nedwina or something odd like that. Anyway, I'm responsible for what you did. I told you to light the candle and burn pages of your diary in the motel room, so I'll pay the fine, but the rest is on you. Thanks. I'll pay you back when I'm done paying restitution to the motel owners. She pats my back. Hun, I think you'll be making those payments for the rest of your life. Interest really adds up. Sitting at the round kitchen table, I rub my eyes with the palm of my hands. I'm in debt and feeling a little overwhelmed. Will I ever climb out of the hole I dug? Mom sets a cup of jasmine tea in front of me. Drink this and you'll feel better. I added honey. Go away on a mini vacation. I look at her with wide eyes. And how well did that work the last time? Keep an open mind. Didn't you say you received an invitation to a resort up north near Millersville? Make a reservation for 3 nights. You can walk in the woods, write poetry, do whatever you need to do to start feeling better. Leave the guilt behind. Tilting my head, I say, easy to say, but harder to do. It'll take more than a cup of tea and staying at a cabin to make me feel better. It could be worse. I roll my eyes. Exactly how? Remember the woman who started a huge wildfire in Colorado? She spent years in prison, and her debt is over $1 million and growing, with interest accumulating. I nod. My situation isn't as bad as that. Still, I wish I'd never lit that match. On the freeway north, I shake my head and scold myself as I navigate through gnarled Seattle traffic to Two Rivers Resort. What a fool I was to burn paper in a motel room, or to light a candle. I should have used a fire pit outside. I'm lucky I didn't burn the place down. Instead, 4 units were damaged. I pull up to the Two Rivers Resort office located in a log cabin and get out of the car. Thick evergreens and dense clusters crowd in, making the area dark. A dirt lane leads away from the office into the woods. Inside, a man in his 40s with wire-rimmed glasses looks up. I'm checking in for cabin 8. He looks me over and his eyes narrow. Name? Miranda Diggs. Driver's license? I hand it over. He studies it, holds it up, and squints at me. Doesn't look like you. What happened to your hair? I blow out a breath. How mortifying. Some of it fell out. He frowns and fingers his thick eyebrows. Well, you looked better before. I'd rather not rent to your type, but we need the money, so here's your key. No loud parties, whatever you do. And don't pet the coyotes. When he laughs, his breath smells like cigars. I grab the key and turn to go. Fire danger's high, he barks. No fires, no campfires in the fire pits. I nod. Little does he know I'm responsible for a motel fire in the mountains. Do I know what a mistake that was? Yes, I regret it with every step I take and every swallow I make. Every breath I exhale is tainted with guilt. What's worse is how that reporter Ned keeps calling and asking to interview me. I just want to forget the whole episode and move on. In cabin 8, I store my bag in the one-room cabin with a kitchenette, a round dining table, and 2 double beds. When I open the closet, there's 1 red mitten and a child's red tricycle. That's strange. You'd think they'd clean up better before new guests check in, but not everyone is as professional as Diggs Cleaning. I take pride in my work and leave each place in better shape than when I arrived. Well, of course, that was before. I've become absent-minded, as my mother said. I left my vacuum at the Dohertys 2 weeks ago and went home. The next day, I had to go back and retrieve it before going to the Gasser's house, which made me late for my appointments the rest of the day. I locked the cabin and set out on foot to explore the grounds. Pine cones litter cabin roofs. Potholes in the dirt roads are filled with water from the recent rain. The soles of my shoes crunch on pine needles underfoot. Ahead, a sign points to a river trail. I turn and make my way down a hill. A canopy of tree branches blocks sunlight coming through the clouds, allowing intermittent light. A woman in her mid-30s pushes a stroller up the slope. She stops, breathing hard and gripping the handles. I smile at her and continue on. Going down and taking a tight switchback, I marvel at how she pushed the baby buggy up this rough dirt trail. My mind drifts. I have no idea if I want kids or to get married one day, maybe not in that order. I skid on pebbles on the path and brace for a fall, knees locking, but my feet fly out from under me. I land with a thud on my butt. Rubbing my back, I get up and walk down to the river. The sound of rushing water might soothe some people, but for me, it has the exact opposite effect. My hands clench into fists. Hairs on my arms stand on end. My eyes search out a rocky pool on the other side of the channel where danger lurks. What if someone fell in? What would I do? Would I rescue them this time? Enough, I say. Time to make peace. There's no going back. I turn and hike up the trail, my thigh muscles complaining. The sun breaks through the clouds, warming my skin. I tromp back to the cabin and unlock the door. It's time to follow my mother's new advice. She's an endless source of ideas for how I should shape and improve my life. I figure, why not? I might as well give it a try. But first, I brew a pot of coffee. A muddy brown liquid burbles on the stovetop in a dented metal percolator. I pull out my journal, which was the source of my recent troubles. I have 2 issues to contend with: haunting memories from summer camp and the fire at the mountain motel. I'm lugging around a backpack of rocky regrets. The smell of burning coffee makes me jump and turn off the stove. I pour steaming black coffee into a chunky, cream-colored ceramic mug and plunk down in a wobbly wooden chair. Maybe this time I'll get it right, and nothing terrible will happen.